Students, today we are going to talk about the gastrulation. Gastrulation is nothing but the formation of trilaminar germ disc. So both are same. So initially, if you see the embryo will be having two layers. One is the upper layer, epiblast. Epi means up. Okay, this is epiblast, and the down layer is called as hypoblast. So the above one is called as epiblast and the down one is called as hypoblast. Now if you see the epiblast as such, I will draw the epiblast. Okay, so this is the epiblast. There is a vague streak formation initially. That streak is called as primitive streak. Since it is formed initially, first primarily, it is called as primitive streak. Now the streak is getting deepened when the embryo reaches 16 to 17 days, and both the margins will become bulged because in the middle it is like a groove. And what happens next, all the epiblastic cells, they migrate, and here is a formation of a node that is called as primitive node cranially. This is called cranial end and this is called caudal end. Cranial end means head end and caudal end means tail end. So there is a node, big node formation. In the middle of the node there is a pit. There is called as, so this one is called as primitive streak, formation of a primitive streak, and this is called formation of the primitive node, and this is called the pit formation, primitive pit. This is called primitive node and this is called primitive streak. Now what happens, all these epiblastic cells, they migrate. Okay, they migrate, they come in the middle and then they enter into the primitive streak, then it goes down. Below that, now what happens when we draw this, you have to draw like this. This is the first layer, what we are talking about, the epiblast. Now the epiblast, if you see, I will draw like this, and this is how the epiblast, see, this is the primitive streak and this is the primitive node and this is the primitive pit. Now what happens, all the cells, so first cell, what is that, epiblastic cells. The epiblastic cells, they migrate from here. Understood, the epiblastic cells. So I will draw the epiblastic cells. I will draw the cells. All the cells, they do have the nucleus, right? So the epiblastic cells, they migrate. So all the cells, they migrate through the primitive pit and then they come down. The epiblastic cells, they come down. What is the layer beneath that? I said this is hypoblast. So this is the layer, it is called as hypoblast. So I will draw hypoblast like this. Understood. Now what happens, this in between the cells from the epiblast, they come and they enter into the primitive streak and come down and they displace few of the hypoblast cells. They displace the hypoblast cells and form a new layer called as, these cells, they come down and displace. So the displaced cells, I am drawing it in red color. So they displace the hypoblastic layer. Now the layer is called as endoderm. Now the layer is called as endoderm. Now what happens, few of the cells are entering in between the epiblast and the endoderm and they form a new layer that is called as mesoderm. What is it called? Mesoderm. So this is called as mesoderm. So this will be transformed, this hypoblast will be transformed into endoderm and this new layer formed between the epiblast and the hypoblast is called as mesoderm. So this layer is called as mesoderm, and the top layer, now it is transformed into a layer called ectoderm, which is outside. So the epiblast will, now it is called as ectoderm, it is outside. So it should be called as ectoderm. So now three layers. Initially there were only two layers, epiblast and hypoblast. So it is called as bilaminar germ disc. So initially it was bilaminar. Now it has been transformed into trilaminar because of the epiblastic cells migration through the primitive streak. Understood? It comes down and it forms a new layer in the middle and then it displaces the cells of the hypoblast and transformed into endoderm. So this process is called as, this process of forming three layers are called as gastrulation or trilaminar germ disc formation.